we're both on this hill now.
Yeah.
Who's gonna last longer? Am I gonna have to fight you off it, or are you gonna see me climbing up? Like, no. Now, me personally, again, confidence over cocky, but I'm coming for the top of that mountain. So you better be ready for a dogfight. But I'm gonna respect you all the way up
Yeah.
it. So
Welcome to the Talent Alone Won't Win podcast. I am your host, Suzi Freeman. I am a mental performance coach, specifically working with kickers, punters, and long snappers. And I welcome you to the channel. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited today. We have Xander Echols. He is in pursuit of NFL career. And I wanted to just welcome you to the show and then kind of let you tell everybody a little bit about where you're at in your journey for prepping for the draft and what it's been like.
so I mean, graduated from the University of Idaho back in last May. Stuck around for another season to finish out my college career, my last year of eligibility. And now we're prepping for pro day coming up March 30th, up in Idaho. Um, it's
Okay.
been it's been a fun but interesting journey because I played at UAB my first couple years of college football and transferred to Idaho. And I told people back in our previous podcast that we did, transferring is so different nowadays, and you pretty much take 4 years of high school recruiting and put into 3 weeks and trying to find somewhere you're going to go where you belong. Um, so
Yeah.
that was interesting. Now we're getting into pro day camp or pro day prep, and honestly, my agent has been a big help as far as like choosing him, finding out what he's doing for me, everything he has done for me, taking a lot of load off of it for me. Kind of like, okay, you do what you need to get ready. I'll handle all the backstage stuff. Has been a great thing to kind of take off my shoulders so I can focus on the physical attributes of it. As far as going as how we got along to agents, I knew several growing up, just going being a part of football for so long. Many of them followed me. I kept in touch, just kind of saying maybe I'd pick their brains every once in a while, like, hey, like, I know you can't really tell me because you're not allowed to, but if you give me a hint on what direction I'm going to be doing something in, that would be great. Um, but and then in the past year and a half up in Idaho, I had um, an associate reach out to me that worked for this agent, and we had kind of kept track. He helped me set up some NIL deals my last year in Idaho, and kind of kept me on track through that. And he did a really good job with that kind of stuff. So we ended up picking up.
So, real quick,
Yeah,
your agent then you have right now, is he also able to handle you while you were in college?
well,
Handle college stuff?
he was able to handle me like he was able to be like NIL like in transactions, things like
Okay.
that. But as far as like management, I'm pretty sure those are frowned upon rule wise. But yeah,
Okay.
but he was able to. We were able to sign two agreements. One was for college for NIL stuff. So he was able to help me out with that way. And it was discussed like, we'll help you out with NIL stuff. We'll do the best we can. And it's kind of like a lot of agents I've seen like kind of do that kind of stuff. So, all right, we helped you here. Maybe you'll see we'll be just as helpful later on in the pro process. And he did a really good job. So, okay, we'll stick. I like our partnership, so we stuck with it. We re-signed a different agreement when I graduated and finished up my NCAA eligibility, and signed an agreement for him to be my agent. And he's helped me out a lot as far as like preparations, calling scouts and things like that, making sure my name has been put out there on lists, whether my name is already on those lists or hasn't been on those lists. He's kind of pushed that and helped me out a little bit, or a lot, I should say. And then as far as my process in it, um, I've seen a lot of guys over the years like always frantic of like what they're doing with it and what to be training for. They don't know how pro is going to go and stuff like that. Like, and I have no, I'm not going to say I have any clue of insight of like, all right, I know exactly how pro is going to go. But I would say I haven't changed my training whatsoever from my first day in college to last day in college to now. It's all consistently the same. I go out each day, do my same warm up, do my same drills, do my same snapping sessions, um, do what I can sprint wise and agility wise to what I know I can do. Maybe I can find something to improve on, and I follow the same lifting regimen. I literally wake up, eat, go train, come back, eat some more, may go to work, may snap in the
Yeah.
afternoon. And it's just kind of, I just follow kind of the same routine I've always have, because it's got me this far in life. I don't know why I would change it now. Um, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't need to be searching for the golden apple of knowledge of I need to be doing this and that and this. When in reality, what you're doing already has worked forever, so you just keep doing that. Um,
I love that you said that. That's been kind of a piece of advice from all the guys I've chatted with, including coaches, is stop trying to change what got you here,
Right.
right? Just stick with that same process, stick with your same routines. Question for you. You're not in Idaho at school, right? Or at the school campus, or did you move back home? Like, where are you doing this training? Did you
Yeah.
stay?
So after December, I moved back home. I got sick in December, so I came back home, trying to get healthy, back into warm weather. My body's more attributed to. I don't mind the cold weather now, but I still perform 100 degrees over maybe -20. But moved back home, been home ever since December, back in Alabama, just doing training here. It's nice weather most of the time, so getting outside, getting on the turf, getting just different feels. Sometimes it drops down to get kind of cold here, so I get a little bit of the attribute still. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's been nice being back home, back in like my home gyms, my home fields, things like that, and having access to the training equipment that I'm used to. Um, and I loved Idaho. Idaho's equipment was fantastic. It just it kind of just worked out better for me to come home, be around my family, and things like that. Kind of have their support through the process. Um, and my dad's also he's always been a big help as far as my training and coaching. He's always I I like training guys and picking out small aspects of it, and then to myself,
Yeah.
I can look at myself and film it. All right, I know this wasn't a great session. We look back in the film and fix this. But it's nice having him there in person, so I have to go back and look. And all right, hey, I'm seeing this. Do you feel that's going wrong? Okay, I do. Now we know how to fix it in real time versus me having to go back from a session. Okay, didn't feel good. I have to watch the film, then go back and fix it. I can just fix it then and then move forward. So
I did notice that, and I think I made a comment once before because I met your dad at I think Zonner's camp.
right, yes,
Um, and yeah, it's so funny because 'cause I'll even watch some of your video and your dad's always there.
right, yeah,
Like, you're throwing and stuff. I'm like, "Well, that's one way to do it." You have that consistent person.
right.
So I love that piece. And did your dad used to coach you or just he's always been there?
So, I'm sorry, I think I sneezed. One sec. Okay, sorry. Um, but no. So growing up, I've been playing football since Alabama. I think we had tackle football in like the first grade, but we didn't do flag football. At least not when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
he was always a part of the coaching staff through like little league and stuff like that, or he was like the team medic. So he's always around, like being part of the coaching staff up until about middle school, high school. Then he was always around, but he wasn't on the coaching staff. And I think my dad had never he's only ever missed 3 practices between middle school and high school, and it was because whether it was he was either really sick or a surgical thing, like he just couldn't show up. And there was one time he had a surgery early in the morning after he hurt his back and rolled out there in a wheelchair the afternoon after the surgery to watch practice. He was going to be there, but when it came to long snapping, I never really. When I first started, I didn't have a coach. It was kind of one of those things. I became a heavier set kid. I was the next biggest guy to play center. Our center got hurt. They wanted me to snap the ball, and I was
Mhm.
snapping the ball so fast it was hitting the quarterback in the chest and hitting the ground before the quarterback had his hands up. So they're like, okay,
Right.
well, you either just slow the ball down or we got to figure out something else. And I was like, just pull them out. We'll have them try long snapping. I found that position. We'll have them try that. And I just kind of stuck with it from there. He watched a bunch of videos, researched it. My dad's a very analytical stat person, so he kind of watched everything he could and started getting in the process of it. And then back in 2012 or 2014, something like that, I went to my first Rubio camp, met a bunch of the guys there, met Rubio for the first time, and had kind of started the process through there. But I would definitely say that my dad had a bigger part as first coaching me because no snapper's ever the same. Everyone has different stances, different grips, stuff like that. And having him able to understand long snapping, the position, how it functions, down to like the minute details, and then having my form be slightly different than everybody else's, like everyone else's is. It's nice to have that consistent
Yeah.
person always around. Be like, okay, I know what you usually look like. I know how this usually sets and how this usually functions, and I see something's off. Versus having to wait
Okay.
3 months for the next camp that you can afford to go to, and be like, "Hey, I've noticed something's been off for a while. Can you help me?" It's like, well, luckily I got lucky enough to have someone around all the time. It's like, "Hey, something's off today. Either let's take a break from today and go back tomorrow, or hey, just adjust this really fast and we're back to it." And so that's been a huge help. Like I said, over the years, I've got to the point now where I've trained enough guys too through my X long snapping thing to like once you're able to teach people, you're able to understand your own physical attributes better. And so it's like I've got to the point now. It's like if something goes off, I'm like, okay. I know I felt something's wrong. I know where it's at. I know how to fix it. But sometimes it's nice to have a second pair of eyes on you from the outside looking in, because if you're inside
Yeah.
something, it's always hard to step back and like actually truly analyze it truthfully to yourself versus like trying to make excuses for yourself sometimes.
I was going to ask you or mention that too. You do so much better when you coach, right? When
Right.
you start coaching people, then you're like, "Oh, well, why don't I do that?" And
Right.
you kinda learn little tricks and stuff. So I think that's amazing that you do that. I wanted to ask you, what kind of, um you know, mindset process are you or did you need to go through to really make that jump of, "Hey, college is kind of done. I'm like, I'm headed for the pro circuit. Like, this is a big deal." Was that anything crazy for you, or are you just kinda like, just going with the flow?"
I mean, who that's an interesting question because no, and I have always said no specialist ever has the same mindset as normal people. Specialists are kind of a little quirky sometimes. But for me, I've always been a kind of person. I'm a very go with the flow person in general. Like I like to have my schedule set and stuff like that. Like all right, I know I'm gonna do this and this time of the day, this and that, and whatnot. But if something happens, I try my best to kind of just flow around it, things like that. But when it comes to football, I've always had the mindset of like this is not my stop. I'm moving forward after this. Whether it was middle school, I know I know I'm going to high school. High school, I know I'm going to college. College, I know I'm gonna go to pro. Like I knew what the next step was. So in my mind, no matter what stage I was in, I was like, okay, I'm here now, but this is not my end result. So I'm still training for that. So it was always people talk about chase perfection, will be perfect. No one can ever be perfect, but it's something we all strive to be. So keep it in your mindset of like, or at least in my mindset of like, all right, I may have had a bad session today, but I'm gonna come tomorrow and be better for it because I know what went wrong and still improve because I'm not gonna be like, oh, okay, like, today was a bad session or whatever. Because and to me, that would be like saying, okay, well, whatever. Like this is all I'm gonna get. Like if I get there, great. If not, whatever. Versus like, okay, this went wrong. I'm going to fix it. Move on tomorrow. Be better because tomorrow is coming, and so is the next step, and I'm gonna be ready for both of them, kind of thing. So I would say
Yeah.
my mindset over the years hasn't really changed. I've just always held myself to that high standard of like I'm gonna be ready for the next level, and if something throws off a little bit of it, I'm just going to move around it, move on to the next thing, and prepare even better for it. So
I mean, I love the way all that sounds, and you've handled it very well. I wonder though, or I'll just ask this, do you ever find yourself coming out of like present moment focus and occasionally too wrapped up in that future, like kind of outcome
it,
or goal?
it definitely can happen. I will say it's happened a small handful of times where you get so caught up in that mindset where you're so focused on like that next thing coming and you want to be so perfect. And so you might have a session that might be a little off because it's just an off day, and you're like, well, why isn't the session perfect? I'm getting closer and closer to the goal I want. Why am I having an off session? Like I need to be perfect. You start squeezing yourself so tight, you're like, and you start to unravel. I won't say I'm the mentally strongest in the world, so of course I've had that happen to me sometimes. But then that's when I realize, okay, I know what my goals are, but I also need to realize I'm not. I don't need to change anything from what I've done. I can go back to that mindset, like just sticking to what I've done over the years is know where I'm going,
Mhm.
keep the standard of my training to where the standard I've kept always kept it at, but keep every day just as another day of training. And that's just kind of that's how I'm approaching going into pro days. Like when I get to pro day, to me it's gonna be another just training session day. I'm gonna go in, snap how I always snap, warm up how I always warm up, bench how I always bench, run how I always run. Like it's gotten this far with how I've held my standards for everything. So I'm just gonna roll with it. It's probably just like that. So I don't have a different mindset of like this day has been built up on a mountain. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to another practice kind of thing. So
What are you looking forward to most with Pro Day?
I'll be happy to get back up there, and I'll be excited to talk to my coaches I haven't seen in a couple months, and some of my old players I haven't talked with in a while. Because I was the only specialist that graduated this past year out of Idaho. I was the old dog, so I'll be excited to come see those guys. I know they're going to help me through pro day, especially like my punter and holder and things like that. They're going to come catch for me. I'm pretty sure. Um, But most excited just to kind of get out there and meet everybody, meet the scouts, talk to everybody, kind of build those connections and
Mhm.
enjoy it. I mean, like I said, I don't want to put it on a pedestal of like this is the golden age day of like this is everything comes down to this. To me, I don't just want to be another practice. I want to meet people and just be do what I always do, be myself. So
Yeah. What's your journey through college? You weren't at the same college the whole time, right? Did
no,
you move?
yeah. So my freshman through halfway through my junior year, I was at University of Alabama Birmingham at UAB. Uh, Played under Coach Clark as my head coach my freshman year. Coach Vincent my second year as an intermediate head coach, um, and then Coach Stilfer as my third head coach. My into my junior year, played under him. Um, Left after that season, just felt like I wasn't being called to belong there anymore. I'm a big believer that God has a path for me, and he put me in a path, and it's like I wasn't being pulled there anymore. I did what I could, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to move on. I don't need to be here anymore. Hit the portal, talked to a couple good schools, talked to Idaho, had a couple visits planned through that literally 3 or 4 week window of feels like 4 years of recruiting jammed into that 1 month. I drove for throw. I don't know how many states for visits, and then flew out to Idaho after driving back from like the next day. Went on a visit, and they offered me and played under Coach Eck, who's now at New Mexico State, my technical senior year, and then I came back under Coach Ford my last year. So within 5 years of college football, I've had 5 different head coaches, or even 5 different coaching staffs, which has been interesting.
Wild.
Yeah, because I mean, it's rare to even keep the same head coach through all of your college years. Like everyone knows that you might go through 2 or 3, maybe, but to have one every year was definitely interesting. But I think it also set me up for a mindset of like being very adaptive to change and looking at it like if going into pro day and making the league and things like that. You do your best, you go out there, you perform, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you get cut, sometimes you get traded, things like that, and that's I don't want to say that's kind of what it felt like, but I feel like I was in an instance being prepared for being adapted to that change of new coaching staffs, new players, and new schemes because every year I was learning something different, whether it was cover a certain way, block a certain way, snap and step back a certain way, um, different trick plays, like just learning. There was never a consistency between the years of like, well, we're going to run this and we're going to run the same thing next year. It was this is the formation this year, the new formation this year, this is the new trick play this year. We have new competition this year, and like and that's the thing too, is like all through those years I had different competitions with different players. So it was never like the same competition with the same snapper every year. It was always somebody different, and having that level of someone trying to come in and take your spot or trying to come in and overtake a spot has also been nice because again you can introduce the adaptivity of change and that level of execution because you know you're being challenged, but you have to perform to your high level of standard to be able to make sure you're taking that winning spot. Um,
Yeah. So obviously, we know that you aren't born with the adaptability and all that you're talking about, because I think it's super important when it comes to your youth specialist for sure.
right,
You have to get familiar, you have to trust your support team, right? It's the three of you.
right,
It goes from snapper to holder to kicker, snapper to punter, right? You're like the golden guy in the middle. If
right,
you've got to get you solid because you can affect everybody else.
right.
How or I should say, what advice do you have to younger guys? And I think this is such a key important point because I have many guys that this is kind of a struggle and we have to always prepare knowing, hey, you have this set, operations unit, it's going to change. You now have to retrust and relearn and not let it affect you. So it's that adaptability piece, it's the trust your teammates piece.
Right.
Where did you realize that became kind of a strength for you? And what did you need to do to get that?
Oh, I would say honestly, I would say almost start back in high school because um, halfway through high school, I went through two different coaching changes. Traded out punters a couple times until my junior year. We got consistent. Went through a couple different place kickers, and our whole orders always changed. And so I guess in high school, I was even kind of prepared to getting used to a new system, a new gear function of like who's in and out, who we're exchanging parts with. At UAB, there was some consistency and who was going to be the holder and the punter and things like that over the years. Um, And there was some change to it, but for the most part, some parts changed and it would stay. And then Idaho, um, whether it would due to injuries or sickness, we had some changes. And so I would say if say you're starting long snapper and your starting punter goes down and your backup punter has to go in, make
Mhm.
sure when you're at practice you're getting I want to say the same reps, but close enough to the same reps with those backup guys because
Okay.
you as a D1, D2, D3 snapper, you're a college football long snapper. I mean, that's just how it is. You've gotten to the level. We're all playing college football. You snap the ball good. You snap it fast, and most people are not ready to catch it, whether it's a holder or a punter. So you want to always get that work in, whether it's before practice, during practice, or after practice with those backup guys. Let them get used to your snap speed, your spin, your spiral, things like that, because you want to be able to trust them when they go out, and just like they want to trust you. And if you're not the starting long snapper and you're a backup guy, even if it's on days off, ask the stars, hey, can you come get a couple reps from me just in case? Like, even if like your guys getting ready to graduate and you know your time's coming, like, hey, I want you to start getting used to me. I want you to start trusting me, and just building that bond with those guys, letting them know like I can trust you and you can trust me. Like I want you to get used to me, and I want to get used to you, kind of thing. Like I said, I mean, when it comes to punt, um, I mean, punters get used to one snap consistently. If they get a different snapper and the ball starts to slow down, they want to lunge at it, or if it comes fast and usually they want to back up into it. At least that's what I've heard. It might be not true for all punters. I don't want to speak like I'm a kicker. Just what I've heard. But I've also heard the same thing for holders. Like someone throws different laces because their spirals a little bit tighter or slower, or the ball's faster or slower. So they have to learn where they should be catching that ball to get those laces at. So I would say just having that comfortability at all levels, whether they're first string, second string, third string, had to get to work. I mean, that's what we did that at UAB and Idaho. We worked with the second and third string holders either before or after practice, trying to get a sound amount of reps and let them get used to catching the ball just in case we needed them. Same thing with kickers and punters. Like we were gonna rep those guys in, especially during fall camp, with like different. All right, we're gonna put the third string with the first string guy, and the second string with the third string, and the second first, and the first to first. Like just switching it all around, letting them get used to everybody because you want that level of trust throughout the chain. There's
Right.
the whole saying of like the chain's only as strong as its weakest link. Well, if your whole chain is titanium, then you're set. You're golden. You don't want to have a silver, gold, titanium, and copper chain. Like it won't hold up. So, like I said, and then off the field, build those friendships, hang out with people. Don't be the guy going in to try to take a spot or keep the spot, and then shun the guy in front of you or the guy behind you. Don't be that guy. On the field, yeah, you're competition, but the helmet on, you have no friends. The helmet goes on, you're on the field, you have no friends. You're competing. The helmet comes off, be best friends. Like that, there's no reason not to because it. I love football. I love the game and all that things. But at the end of the day, it is a game. Like we all strive to be really good at a game, but there's no reason we should keep our rivalry we have on the field against each other in the locker room because we're on the same team at the end of the day. We want to do what we can to make the team the best it can be. Because it's not about us; it's about what we can do for the team and how to make them better. So,
That's great advice. I love that. All of what you just said is perfect, especially for the younger guys. Do you mind sharing? I love to hear all the different like routines and things that guys are doing that keep them in that space. So, do you mind sharing what like average kind of day actual routines as far as meditation, if you have it, gratitude, breath work, all the things, and and then also what's your favorite negotiable you have to have?
my favorite non-negotiable. I'm gonna think about that one as I talk through this because that's interesting. But no, I would say my day-to-day routine right now is I came back home and I tried for the longest time. I was like, I don't want to get a job. I want to focus on my training, things like that, because I just didn't want to have any obstacles. But then I also realized too, it's like there will always be obstacles in life, whether you want them or not. So I went back and got an old job at a gym I used to have through high school and when I was at UAB. And so right now I'm kind of working midday. So most of my day now is I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning, get up, shower. I'll make my breakfast. I follow a diet between like 4 to 4,500 calories a day. I'm getting between 260 to 300 grams of protein. Um, and
Wow.
I forget. I like. There's only about 60 to 90 grams of fat I'm getting in. The rest of them are in carbs. And so I'm weighing out 6 meals a day between 100 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein and like 6 to 7 grams of fat each meal. So it's like, so in reality, it's like, 100 calories of carbs, 100 grams, 100 calories of protein, but it's in stacks of like, all right, each meal is 55 grams of protein versus how many calories, and like only nothing more than 8 grams of fat in a meal. And I am a person who I like small meals. I can't eat big meals all at once. I can't stomach it. So when I get up in the morning, shower, get ready for work, well, I'll pack my bag and things like that. And I usually don't start my shift from to like 12 to 5 or 12 to maybe longer. So I'll make my breakfast, go work out at the gym, get there ahead of time. Our gym has massage beds and red light therapy, and so I'll take the time after my workout to do the massage beds and do the red light therapy, and that's kind of like my drainage time of like, okay, like my body's relaxing, I'm flowing, I'm letting it all relax, and then for work, I'll eat again, go into work, take a half break, eat, go back to work, get done get done with work. I might get back in the red light therapy again, just kind of wash off the day of running around the gym, make sure everything's taken care of. Um, and then I'll come home, and after that, I'll get my cleats on, head to the field, go through my snapping sessions, whether it's the full warm up of my 5, 10, 15, 12 yards, just kind of basics of what everyone goes through when they go to camps. Everybody goes to camps. All right, let's warm up 5 yard slow mos and 10 yard straight leg and 12 yard a little bit, like 80%, and then 15 yard snaps. And then I'll do ability work, whether that be sprints or side to side movements and things like that. And then I come home and go to bed and and repeat it again. Make sure I'm getting my sleep schedule in too, because I can eat as much as I want and train as hard as I want and do as many snaps as I want. If I don't sleep, it's all a mute point. Um, but I mean, I would say my routine is very. I like being go with the flow, but at the same time too, I make sure I'm very structured. Make sure I have my time stats. Okay, I'm gonna get this time. I'm gonna get this time. I'm gonna work out at this time. I'm gonna eat again. So I would say just having while going the flow is nice because it allows your brain to balance out a lot of things that could go wrong throughout the day because we only control 16% of our day through what we do. The world is unpredictable every day. Um, but having some kind of mental schedule in your mind that, okay, I'm going to leave enough room for something to go wrong in each section of this day. That if it does go wrong, okay, well, it's no big deal. I cut that time out. I get like I said, if I don't have to be at work till 12, and I'm gonna go work out at 9, but I get up at 6. You're like, what? Why do you have 3 hour gaps between all this? I'm like, because I'm leaving 30 minutes to an hour for traffic or something to be broken, or if I have to wait for something else. I'm giving myself that lead time. It's like maybe I get out of the rally therapy after workout. I'm just so exhausted I can't eat, so I got to give myself time to relax. Or if I'm not ready for work, I need more time in the red light therapy room to kind of just flush some stuff out. I take that extra time to let myself relax and my body calm down a little bit so I can come back with a clear mind through the rest of my day. Um, like I said, do I have to wake up early and block out a lot more time throughout the day? I do, but in the meantime, too, it allows me to keep that clear mind throughout the day. So that's kind of always been my thing is if I can keep my everyday life very calm and fluid, then I don't care how rowdy it gets on the field, who's saying what, how loud a stadium is, because I have all this time to relax. If I go on the field and something goes wrong, well, okay, so I'm gonna do my job. So that's just kind of how I kept it. And as far as like non-negotiables, honestly, I personally for what I do, I mean, like I said, I try to leave enough room towards like I try to fit everything in that I can, make sure nothing goes wrong. But I would if it came to like teammates and things like that, my non-negotiable is like don't be nice to me if I'm doing something wrong. Just call me out. Like I would tell my players all the time. I was like, if something's off one day and you feel like I'm slower, the ball's wobbling, just call me out. Like just tell me. I have thick skin. Like if something's going wrong, I'd rather know and fix it. And then you try to parent me, like, oh, like it was a good day, like whatever. Like no, be cutthroat. You were these were
Yeah.
not to your standard. What are you doing? So and they would listen. They would tell me, and I would get right back on my horse and keep riding. So I think that kind of goes back to like that level of trust within the chain is like being honest with each other. Even when I was having rivaling another snapper for position. Now, do you let all your tricks out? Not really, because you're in competition. But if you see something's really off with somebody and you want to be a good teammate, you still help them. Whether I had a guy come up to me and say, "Hey, look, you look a little off today. Are you okay? Is something like mentally okay, or something happened in the day, or is it just a form thing?" And just talk about it, or and call them out and say, hey, look, something looks off. Maybe go back to fixing this. And just helping them out a little bit. I'm not saying I give out your whole playbook, but, you're still your teammate. So you should just to help them along the way. So
No, I mean, that's nice. I like that piece there. What, piece of advice can you give, an athlete, whether there's probably, like, I would say junior, senior year in college is when you guys really start getting serious about, "Whoa, I really wanna go pro. This is definitely a possibility."
right.
What advice, even if it's just one thing, can you give those guys for next draft class to
Um, this guys who get serious, like in that sophomore junior year, because most of the time you take a redshirt year, so your sophomore becomes more like your freshman year and things like that. And you realize, okay, this is my time to go out there, do what I do on the field. Understand that like every time you step on the field, every time you put a helmet and shoulder pads on, everybody talks about pro days your interview. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you've been interviewing ever since you stepped onto a college campus. Um, Coaches watch what you do, other players watch what you do, teammates watch what you do. They watch how you react, respond, all this kind of stuff. And so realize, and start getting serious that you're in the interview right now. Pro day is just, I don't want to say the final exam, but more like the review. Okay, you did all this, you've had all this time of this interview, but here's the review part of it. That's why I said don't really change anything when you get to that last step. Just continue because it's just review at this point for your body. But if you want to get serious and things like that, and then that time frame between sophomore and junior year, realize that like a lot of people go out and party and enjoy college. Like, yeah, I'm in college, I want to enjoy my time. This was something my dad always told me. You could party now. You could party through your late teens, early 20s, and then work for 40, 50 years the rest of your life. Or you can work for the first 20 years of your life in your early teens and through your 20s and 30s, and then have the rest of your life to party. So, how much will you sacrifice in the beginning to work a little bit now and then set yourself up later for success? And you can, okay, now I can enjoy life when I might be a little bit older, but I'm not going to be retiring at 70 and work from 30 to
Mhm.
70 years old. I can work from say let's say you go to pro, you work from 22, 23 years old, you work till at being a specialist you're 30. Okay, cool. You retire at 32. You go maybe get a side job, or you start doing your own training, put a little extra money into your pocket while using what you've already built up to build that life or finish building the life you've started putting, and now you can go enjoy more of it versus like, okay, I'm gonna spend all this time in college having fun. Well, okay, well, I had too much fun in college. Now I'm slacking here. I'm trying to play catch up, and it doesn't work out. Now you're stuck on this block
Mhm.
of working for a longer period of time versus shorter period of time. Um, and I see a lot of guys fall into that rabbit hole. Like they get a little taste of freedom, and they're like, okay, well, like I have practice in 2 days, so I'm gonna go on a bender this weekend. Don't do that. um, it's, it's
Yeah,
it's keeping them. It's I want to say a time chart of what everything's happening in, but it's keeping that realization is like, okay, if I'm serious about this, these are my standards I have to keep. This is what I'm working for, and I don't need to do anything now to jeopardize that. Now is where I put in all my hard work, and it pays off later. Versus vice versa of whatever you put in is what you can get out. If you put time into having fun, okay, you're gonna have fun, but I don't know how much it's gonna pay off later on. Versus if you put in a lot of hard work now, it's gonna pay off a lot more beneficially to you later. Um, I'm
yeah, they say
I'm not.
keep it boring, right?
I'm sorry.
Keep it boring, right? If
Yeah,
it's boring, you're well.
right. Yeah, and I'm not saying don't have fun because I mean we all have our 1 or 2 days here and there that we like to hang out and cut loose. I'm just saying don't make it an occasion, or don't make it a very so often thing. Make it a very spotted thing. Like I want like you have a week or two off, maybe enjoy 1 or 2 of those days, but don't let up on the training in those times either. So
Yeah. I know you kind of answered this question, but it's two-part. From the sounds of it, our earlier conversation, you pretty much, when you picked up a football, or at least at that junior high level, had NFL ambitions,
right,
correct?
right.
With that, what advice, or what I should say advice, what would you do over? So if you could go back to any part, where do you feel like maybe you would have done something a little different?
Um, I didn't get into. I took the snapping seriously. I took that part of the training seriously, but I hated running in high school and stuff, and then in middle school, I hated working out. Like, I truly did not start picking up weights till after I graduated high school. I graduated high school at 170 pounds, and now I'm 240. um, And so that was one thing my dad always tried to push me. He's like, let's like you get off work or you get off school and you had practice now. Let's go work out and at the gym in our small town we live in. And we would go every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, okay, like, I'm gonna go lift, and I would do it for like 2 weeks. And okay, I'm done. And I either stayed at Butterball through until my sophomore year, when I was like 5'6", 170 pounds, and then I had a growth spurt, hit 6 foot, and stayed 170 pounds, and got became a string bean. But
Yeah.
luckily, UAB when I was getting my college offer stuff like that, UAB was like, you can snap the heck out of a ball. And we'll have you as well off your full ride, but we're gonna make sure you put some weight on before you get here. And so at that point, I was like, okay, now if I'm gonna be serious about, if I'm truly gonna be serious about this, like, once I realized college was gonna be the start of the interview process, I was like, I gotta change something. And so I started working out and things like that, and I fell in love with that part of the process too. To the point where I'm about to say is extremely insane for most college athletes in general, I feel like, but I became more in love with the training part of it than the game day. Like the game day was like, okay, cool, yeah, like we get to go do this, but fall camp or summer training where we're running sprints, like racing against each other, we're lifting all together, like we're pushing each other. Like I fell in love with that part of the sport more almost and the practices than I did the game days. The game days was all right. Here's your reward for getting through that. Okay, yeah, I'll take the reward, but I enjoyed running sprints with my teammates and pushing them in the weight room and things like that because once I realized that this was my goal, and I was like, if I'm part of a team, if I want to be my best version on this team, I have to push them to be their best. Okay, well, if I'm going to push this hard in the weight room in my training, so are they. Now, I would also do extra workouts once I got into that kind of mindset outside of our football team's training, and I would try to bring someone with me. And they all thought I was crazy once we did the workout. Okay, well, I'm never working out with you ever again. But like I said, it was kind of like if they wanted to, great. If they didn't want to, that's fine. I'm still gonna push you in the team weight room as friends. But I enjoyed the winter training, the summer workouts, the fall camp because you get to push each other and you're pushing yourself to the limit. And in my mind, if I can push my body constantly and still maintain my standard of training and my standard of snapping, things like that, and come game day after a day off of like resting and traveling and whatnot, whether you're traveling or not for game day, like game day, now I'm fully recovered. So why can't I push? Why can't I go? Why can't I run a little bit faster day than I do every other day? Because I'm used to being exhausted and heavy leg. First, now I have fresh legs. So now why can't I be the first or second person downfield to go make a tackle, or at least be there in the way where the guys call for a catch? So um, that's just kind of that was kind of always my thing. Was like I wish I would have started training sooner. Like I said, I just kind of put it off. So I think I would have been a lot further ahead physically, attributed wise. But snapping ability, I would say I think I've tried to do everything I can to take the best advantage I could of it when I could train. So
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's like falling in love with the process
right,
and then that game day, that competition, that's like the fruit. It's the reward. You just get to go and have fun
right,
because there's nothing new you can do. I mean,
yeah,
you didn't train and process right, game day is just gonna be what it is. So
right.
I love that you said and, maybe that's a non-negotiable for you, the gym, but that's fine. Yeah, I can imagine being that tall and that skinny as a snapper, and they're like, "Hmm, how are you at blocking?"
Yeah, I was like, I can do it. I get that was always the thing too. Is like oddly enough, even though like I was either a smaller stature person or the size I am now, physically I've always been a little stronger than what I've looked or like my stature allowed me to be. So I was always able to have those roots planted in the ground if I needed them to block. Um, and so like I was able to build on top of that. But kind of going back to like trusting the process and things like that, to any like younger snappers or specialists or any athlete in general who's like, yeah, I love game day, but like practice, I don't go to practice stuff, or I don't want, I'm tired of lifting, or I don't want to run today, or whatever. I'm not saying running's fun. Okay, I'm 240 pounds. I don't like running either, but you'll never catch me running a sprint down my hill or out in my yard just because I felt like, what, I'm gonna go run 100% right now for 50 or for 100 yards for reps. No, well, I'd rather be on a beach tanning or working out in air conditioning. I don't want to go run. Um, but it's when you learn to fall in love with that process, the faster you fall in love with the game. Because, and this was honestly, this revelation didn't really hit me till when I was under Eck at Idaho. My first year at Idaho was we got halfway through the season. I already loved the process. I loved the training portion more of it. But then when I realized that like it really settled into me when we played Montana State for the first time that year, because we went and played them again in the playoffs. But we were playing them and just having that atmosphere and kind of going, I was like, okay. For some reason, that game I felt more comfortable than any other game I'd played in. For some reason, it was loud. The stadium was shaking, and honestly, I tell people whether I played at Georgia when I was at UAB or Montana State when I was at Idaho, I would go back to Montana State and play. Honestly, that the whole stadium shook because everyone was so hyped up for that game. And it was a little cold out, but just when I realized when I stopped, kind of going back to that present, when I stopped thinking about the process, constantly getting to that next level, and that okay, I did the process. Let me enjoy a little bit of this fruit at the game, and stopped and looked around. It really set in. I was like, I trained this hard all this time, and I can just go out and I don't have to snap 100 balls today like I do at practice. I can snap. I'm gonna snap 16 balls maybe today, but I'm gonna make sure each one of them is good because I've practiced that way. And I'm one of those guys on game days. Like I always keep my helmet on. Me locked in. When my helmet goes on, I don't take it off. Halftime, I'll take it off and go in the locker room. But if I'm on the field, my helmet stays on. I don't like I'm there. But this was the first game I'd ever actually unbuckled my helmet for a minute and stopped and took it in. And that was when I learned that I was able to enjoy the game as much as I enjoyed the process, but to keep it in small amount as I enjoyed it because I had the ability to lock back in. Um,
Right.
so like I said, I used to not say I hated game day. I want to go back to the process. I don't want to care for game day. I enjoy the game days, but it was like the first time that I really kept saying like, this is what I get to do. Like I enjoyed what I get to do every day to get to here. So if
Mhm.
you're already in college or getting ready out, and you don't feel like you're excited for game day. So most people are. I don't know. Some people think I'm weird. Like you can run sprints and work out more than the game day. I don't know, maybe. But if you're at that level where you're like, I like game day, but it's not like I thrive for it. On a game that you might have a minute, just take your helmet off and just turn around the crowd, like close your eyes and just breathe in like that you are playing or you are playing at the level that high school you thought they may or not be able to play at. And when you realize that, then you're like, okay, now I get to enjoy this even more. I get to enjoy the process more. I get to enjoy the game more. And then you lock back
Right.
in, trying to go back to achieve that next level. So then when you're at the next level, you can look back down. It's like college me wasn't sure if I could do it, but we did it. Here we are, and you can enjoy that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's like that piece of kind of being grateful of like, man, all the work I've done and this is why I'm doing it and this is what I'm here for. So
right,
I love that. You're not alone in saying like the electric crowd, even for like the shyer type,
right,
a little more nervous, the electric crowds will always just kind of like set that tone for you.
right.
And I love that. I love the advice you gave. The conversation was great. I appreciate you taking time. I know you're trying to work, get ready for your pro day, all the things. Um, but I appreciate it, and I loved having you here.
Oh, so I love this. I love anytime we get to do this and kind of talk on the mental side of it versus like just the overall uh, scheduling that specialists have to go through, whether they're getting ready for their college or anything like that. So, like I said, I love doing these talks. I love just getting to talk to the younger guys too, especially the guys I train. Like I trained a bunch of high school guys. Now that some of them are in college. One guy just signed a couple days ago to go to college and to play.
Oh, that's
Um, and I enjoy getting because they look at me and that okay, well you did college and you're going for pro, and they see like they're like, oh, I can't look at me how I looked at guys that I met at college camps that were done playing college, were getting in going to college when I was younger. And I looked at these guys like, you were just awesome. And
yeah.
seeing that look on their face when they look at you is kind of just like, it's surreal kind of thing. It's like you at this process, they're like, it's just another day, like whatever. But to them, you've conquered the mountain. Like you were it. So kind of go back and like talk to them, seeing how they see it versus how you used to see it, kind of thing, and realize it's kind of the same, but also keep them talking to them like, look, it's awesome, but when you get here, you also have to realize the mindset you have to be in, and kind of prepping them
Mhm.
well. It's like keep
Yeah.
the admirosity of it, but also prepare for the mindset you're about to enter. So
Yeah, I always tell the younger ones can always relate to this much better. I say, "Hey," the high school kids, I'm like, "Be ready. When you get to college, that's like the bottom of the next level.
yeah,
So you might star, 5 star, whatever you are here,
yeah,
when you get there, you're now not that."
yeah. That's always heard when I first got to UAB. Is like All right, cool. You came in as a 5 star. Guess what? So was everybody else. You were the best on your team. Now everyone else was the best on their team. Now you're all here. Guess what? You're average.
Mhm.
Now the point is, all right, how do you go from being average at the bottom of the level to above average when you get to the top, and then have to start back over and get to the pros? All right, I'm at the bottom again. How do I show my
Yeah.
consistency? How do I show my worth and gain that veteran status and that respect of my teammates at that level too? So
Isn't it fun? Like, you're at the bottom again, but isn't it exciting?
it is because it comes back to that ambitious part of like wanting to compete and things like that. It's like, all right, now I get to show what I'm really made of again. Like people saw what I was made of. Okay, cool. I had a spot. I owned when I had
Mhm.
it. I don't mean that cockingly, but that's what you have to do as a specialist. You have a spot, you have to own it. Like, all right, I own this now. Like, no one's taking it from me. Now I have to go back in and kind of plant my flag again. But all right, we're both on this hill now.
Yeah.
Who's gonna last longer? Am I gonna have to fight you off it, or are you gonna see me climbing up? Like, no. Now, me personally, again, confidence over cocky, but I'm coming for the top of that mountain. You better be ready for a dogfight. But I'm gonna respect you all the way up
Yeah.
it. So
Hey, that makes sense. What last question then real quick,
yeah.
just don't keep you too long. What is if there were any sort of I don't even wanna say a fear, but what's your biggest kind of concern or thought where it's like, "Okay, NFL is definitely different." Even though game's kind of the same, what are you thinking about that? Like, what's kind of that thing
Um,
you're over needing to
I would say, like I said, games are kind of, I mean, football games are football games, and to go 'em either way. But I wouldn't say a fear, but more excited to see what they're training, what their process is. Like, so I've enjoyed the process of the game, so I want to see their process. I want to say, okay, how far off am I from my process to what they do, and how quickly can I adapt and become champion of their process versus the process I'm used to. 'Cause like I said, I will treat their process like trying to take the ownership of a starting spot. Like, all right, if we have guys that are top of the training process, like y'all running the fastest, y'all lifting the best, of that, well, I'm coming for that too as much as I am coming for that starting spot. Like I said, when I entered college, like I said, I was a string bean. I was 6 foot, 170 pounds versus, and I worked and worked and worked to where I was stronger than most of our linemen. Um, and so I was like, to me, that was like that. If I'm going to do that at the level of snapping, why wouldn't I do it in the process too? And have those attributes. Now, am I running a 4.4 or a 4.2? Maybe not, but we're going to try. I might run up against the running back we have, but you know what? I might lose this race, and I'm still going to put everything I have into it. Um, I'll take the chance. I might be quicker off the line. You might have me in the long end, but at some point in this race, I will be ahead. So, like I said, it's just like I said, it's not a fear, but it's excitement to get there and go, okay, this is the new process, this is the new training regimen, this is how the pros do it, and I've now made it to where I'm a pro, and this is the level of what we do it things at. So I'm excited to get to that point
Yeah,
and be there. Like I said, I'm not going to say if I get there or anything. I like when I get there in the next couple months is I'm excited to kind of see where it takes me. So
yeah. I mean, hey, and y'all will know I mean, should know something by end of April, so that'll be
yeah,
fun to, like, what that next kind of work is, but
right.
I'm excited for you, I'm excited for all of you guys, there's quite a few, so this will be fun.
Yeah, so I'm
So,
excited. So
I
I'm
mean,
excited for all the guys in it and see where everything's going to happen, things like that, and see how April and through the summer goes. Who needs workouts? Who's bringing people on? Things like that. So, say a lot of us guys
yeah,
that are graduating now or in pro day grew up going to camps together across the country. So now it's like we're all be seen to again at workouts. Like, oh, I guess we're back at it. Like here we go again, kind of thing. So it'll be nice kind of
yeah,
catching up with those guys again, like a couple of them at honors camp earlier in the year, and we're all prepping for the same thing. So we'll see how it goes.
yeah, I love how you guys are most of you are all typically friendly and cool with each other,
Yeah,
so I love that, you as
yeah.
you cross paths, you guys are
Yeah, like I said, it kind of goes back to the whole like even when you're at college, you want to keep that chain link strong, and like you don't want to disrespect some guys who's ahead of you or in front of you, like or ahead of you and behind you. Kind of same thing when you go to camps, like say even in high school when you go to these camps, you have guys that are freshmen, maybe eighth graders, and you have senior guys. I'm sorry, but I've never met a senior guy who was a talented long snapper. I say one Rubin was a top 12 guy and made fun of a younger guy. But I've seen where I
yeah,
see guys in the middle years of their high school years, and they're like they'll buddy up with someone or with some group, and then they'll make fun of the younger guys for not doing as good, or they won't talk to the older guys because they know they're better than them. It's like, do like the top guys know what stage they were in those stages. So like, yeah, we respect you, but we also want you to respect us. Not like senior guys, I want you to admire them because like we've made it this far, but like we want to be friendly. You need help, come ask us. Sometimes I've had a younger guy come up to me during my training session while I'm training people, and like I said, I'll get down and explain something, and they'll ask me a question that won't work for me, but it might work for the guy I'm talking to or another guy that I'm training that same day. I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. It might be something I use, but this guy could use it. And it's kind of the same thing going back to when we
Yeah.
talked about when you're training, you learn more about the position. It's like I've trained guys where it's like though so many of them will do the same things that I did as mistakes. I was like, oh, I remember I used to do that. This is how I got past it. Or there be times I'll reset into something that I try to get past, and I see a guy doing it, and I'll explain how to get past it, and then it hits me like, wait a second, I've been doing that recently too. Now I know how I need to go fix it, and I've now talked through it with you, teaching you how to do it, and I knew how to do it, but I didn't want to admit it to myself until I teach you how to do it. Um, and I think that's also an important part of coaching too, is like being able to be like, okay, wait a second, I remember doing that and committing my mistakes in it, and so I know I know how to fix you, but I also can go fix myself because I'm not going to say I'm perfect in coaching you. Because there have been times too I'll tell someone, hey, like change this a little bit. I'm not saying just going to fix everything, but just try it, and we'll go wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Go back to what you're doing. We'll change something else. Like because like no two people need to snap the same. No two people are the same. Um, whether your hand grip's a little different, your feet placement a little different. Um, but I would say having a coach that understands that is a big thing. So it's kind of hard to. Some people are meant to coach, some people are meant to play. There's very few that can do both. But I think if you have the attribute to do both, you can do a lot of great things for people, and just
Mm,
back in general. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. I love that good piece of advice. But I appreciate you, and I mean, we'll chat soon.
yeah.
And I love the advice you gave the guys here. And I hope it goes very well, and it's just full of fun.
Well, thank you, Sam. Hopefully we'll get to talk soon, and hopefully in the next week and a half we'll have a good day and get ready for April. So
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
of course,
Hey, thank you so much for watching and listening to the Talent Alone Won't Win podcast. If you want to get more tips and tricks on how to uplevel your mental game, subscribe to the channel and visit my website, SuziFreeman.com, and let's connect.